Hey Internet, my name is Julian and I'm here with a spontaneous movie review. This past week I actually went and saw a movie that I wasn't expecting to see and kind of got wrangled into it by a group of people. But let's be honest, I kind of had an inkling to see this, but at the same time I probably would have waited till Redbox or Netflix. Now the movie itself is Kimi no Na wa, which the English title is Your Name, and has been getting highly reviewed and has been getting 90s and higher. And I can understand why. I mean, it's a phenomenal movie. Now, I know the title is going to throw you off because it is an animated subtitle movie, and I know that's a big turnoff for a lot of people, but I would wait and hold off before you make judgments because this movie is actually really phenomenal. Now, I know a couple weeks ago I said that Life was probably my favorite movie this year. Well, that changed dramatically when I saw this movie because it really is that good. Now, it's written and directed by Makoto Shinka and rated PG for thematic elements, suggestive content, brief language, and smoking, and has a runtime of 112 minutes. Now that we've gone over that, let's just kind of go into the pros and cons of the story, and believe me, there's not a lot of cons to it. The story itself is about two teens who live totally separate lives in two parts of Japan. Now, the first teen I'll go over is the male teen who lives in Tokyo, who seems very liberal. He doesn't seem like he follows rules often. He's kind of short-tempered. He doesn't seem very religious. He works just to spend his money, kind of thing. Doesn't really save up. Meanwhile, the other teen, who's a female, lives in a small village, by a lake, amongst the trees. She's very conservative. Her father's actually the mayor, so she has to be proper. Her grandmother is like I wouldn't say priestess, but she takes care of the shrines and all the rituals, and she is a part of that as well. So that's more of her background. Now these two teens are actually linked together somehow, and I won't spoil how, but they continuously, randomly swap bodies. So the male teen will be inside the female teen will be inside the male teen, and they have to live each other's lives, which they originally think is a dream, and then turns out it's actually real, and they actually start communicating with each other through their phones by leaving each other notes. Now, I won't go over much more of the story because there is a lot involved. There are some twists and turns in it, but the story itself is fantastic. Now, I did say before, this is an animated film, and the animation styles that they use are a mix of a little bit of old school and a little bit of new school, and I'm okay with that. It works well for this movie, and everything seemed to be brought to life in this movie because of the style that they used, and everything was really fantastic. From the illustrations, to the coloring, to the lighting, everything seemed to fit well, everything seemed to flow smoothly, nothing seemed out of place, nothing seemed to be drawn bad. Everything seemed good. Now, the other thing is the soundtrack for this film is actually really good. It's pretty rockin' at points and has some nice subtle music as well in it. You have a lot of J-rock in it, which I thought was really cool. And yeah, I mean, the soundtrack fits the movie well and is really great. I could actually see myself buying the soundtrack itself just to listen to it because it's so good. Now, that being said, that really covers almost the entire movie. But my cons of this movie are the volume on certain parts, it was just one or two. Wasn't a really big deal. Seemed to be a little over the top. There's a ringing at one point, and it just seemed a little bit ear-piercing. And maybe that's to kind of get you to notice it. And that really wasn't a big con. I mean, that was something I overlooked and I didn't really care about. It didn't bother me that much. Now, the other thing I did see that was kind of a con to me was the length of the movie itself. The length itself is fine. I have no minutes sitting down and watching 112 minutes of a really good story. The only issue I had was at the end of the movie, they kind of forget about each other. And they forget about each other and their name. but they still remember that there is something missing in their life. Now that being said, they pass by each other quite a few times in the story, and they continuously do it even at the end. It's like almost like 3 or 4 back-to-back scenes of them passing by each other and not noticing each other until like the final scene, which I won't give away whether or not they do, but the final scene. And it feels like, well, you probably could have shortened that 1 or 2 times. I didn't really feel like they needed to be back to back to back of showing almost like the seasons changing and them not recognizing each other. And I guess it shows kind of a time has progressed kind of thing, but at the same time I feel like it really wasn't needed. Other than that, there was one plot flaw that, once again, I won't really go much involved with it because it is a huge element of the story, but there has something to do with their calendars on their phone, and I really didn't pick it out until someone mentioned it to me. So, there's that. Other than that, I don't have any comments to this movie. It's phenomenal. It's such a good story that I'd actually probably wind up buying it once it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray, and that's really it. Like I said before, if you're a fan of anime subtitled films, then this is the movie for you to go see, and I'd run out and go see it now because it only does have a limited theatrical release. And even if you're not a fan of this, just go watch it. You might actually change your mind and beat your expectations for what these types of films are in your mind. And I don't know what you're still doing here. I told you to go watch the movie, so run along, go see the movie, enjoy it, and tell me if you have seen it. What are your thoughts about it in the comments below? Now that being said, that's it for me here. If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more movie reviews in the future, go ahead and subscribe. And if you could, just go ahead and share it with your friends and family. Well, that's it for me here. Thanks for watching. Until next time.